Hi, I'm Roland. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Here, you'll learn comprehensively how to configure, verify, and troubleshoot Cisco devices using simulators like first Packet Tracer, then subsequently more advanced simulators. In the world of IT, simulators play very important roles. They provide means for network administrators to emulate their organization's production network, helping them identify issues before they occur, preventing them from happening, or even solving them if they do occur at home before implementing in the real-life production equipment in their organizations. Isn't that amazing? They also allow candidates preparing for their certification exams to have a hands-on experience in configurations before sitting for the actual exam. Now, have you ever imagined the magic involved in sending an email to a friend in a remote location, or downloading files, videos, streaming videos, music over the internet? Definitely these are possible courtesy some network devices, and someone must have set up these devices. After consistently following my channel, you'll become that someone that's prolific in configuring and maintaining these devices, even if you start as a novice. So, whether you are without any prior IT knowledge at all, but you intend to begin a career in the networking field, or you're already in the field and want additional knowledge, get promoted, or switch departments in your place of work, or you are preparing to sit for the Cisco certification exams, you are in the perfect place. Without further ado, let's get started. At the end of this video, you'll be able to set up a standalone router accessible via the console connection, navigate through some basic modes or prompts of Cisco iOS, use the help and editing features of the Cisco iOS, as well as some fast keys to help you complete your configurations in short time. Configure some administrative features of the router, such as host names, banners, passwords, encrypt those passwords as well. Finally, save your configurations, because in my next video, we'll definitely continue from this one. When you're setting up your standalone router using Cisco Packet Tracer, first and foremost, you should understand that the Packet Tracer provides various devices. Okay, we have routers. If you click the router aspect here, you'll see various models of routers, Cisco routers. Now, I want to clarify this. Whatever feature or commands you find in a router here, it's what you find on the real life model of the same router. Okay, I can click host as well. You can see PC and devices, basically laptop, server, printers, phones, IP phones. Okay, you can also click cable and you can see various types of cables ranging from console, straight through cable, crossover cable, fiber optic cable. Now we need to set up a standalone router. I prefer the 2811 series router. You click and drag to the workspace. I'll select a host, a PC, click as well, and take it to the workspace. Now I need a cable to connect from the PC to the router. The console cable provides this functionality, the blue cable you see there. So I'll click on the host. Now you can see that I have different ports on the host. Now if I select the fast Ethernet port, it means I'll be connecting to the fast Ethernet interface on the router. But that's not what we want to achieve here. We want to log into the router and configure and verify our configurations. And so what will give us that capability is the RS-232 port. Now this port is similar to the serial port you have on desktops. Recent laptops, you will not find those ports, but you can find them on desktop. Okay, you click and drag Now when I click the router, you can see 4 ports there by default: the auxiliary, console, and 2 fast Ethernet ports. But I'll drag and select the console port. Now we need to log into the router to carry out our configuration. Now you log into the router by clicking on this. When I click on this, now there's an application called HyperTerminal that is used to access communication devices generally. Okay, this HyperTerminal application is available in Windows XP. You can't find it in Windows 7 or Vista. Okay, so in an absence of HyperTerminal, you can also download an application. One very important or very common one is the PuTTY. Okay, so on our simulator, we access the HyperTerminal through this tab, the desktop tab. When you click it, you can see the terminal there. You click the terminal. Now you can see default settings. Now it's advisable to leave this at the default settings. If you change them, you might not be able to log into the router, and you have to memorize this because you'll be tested on this in an exam scenario. Bits per second 9600, data bits 8, parity none, stop bits 1, flow control none. Take note. Now when I hit the OK tab, I'm right on the router, and it's asking me, would you like to enter the initial configuration dialog? Now I can either answer yes or no. If I answer yes, it will take me to a mode called setup mode. Now that mode allows limited functionality, and it's basically used for those that are new in router configuration. We are professionals, so we prefer the command line interface, CLI. So type no to take us to that mode. Voila, we're already on the router. Now, when we come to this mode, the first mode you see on the router is the user exec mode. The user exec mode provides basic statistics verification. Okay, and you can see it, you can identify the user exec mode by this greater than sign after the router. Okay, now we need to go to the next mode called the enable mode or the privileged exec mode by typing enable. Now you can see that it has changed to hash sign. That implies we are on the privileged exec mode. Now this mode allows us to view the router configuration to verify all what we've configured on the router. This is the ideal mode to verify whatever configurations we've performed on this router. Okay, now this mode, we can also use this mode to set up or to enter some basic configurations, little configurations like setting of our clock and stuff like that. Okay, so let's see if we can navigate through some help and editing features of the Cisco iOS. Now the first one I want to discuss is the question mark. Now the question mark provides 3 major functionalities. One, when you're at a particular mode and you want to see the commands that are related to that mode, just enter your question mark sign directly, like what I'm about to do here. You can see that I have all the commands in alphabetical order related to this mode alongside the descriptions. Okay, underneath it you're seeing more. This implies there are some other commands that can't be contained on the current window. So in order to access these commands, you can do any of the following 2 things. Hit the enter key, it brings out a new line of command, or you hit the spacebar to bring out or display a new screen as a whole. Okay, that is a very relevant feature of the question mark. A second aspect of the question mark is that it helps us to view the commands related to a particular alphabet. For example, I would like to know the commands related to C. When I type C, I use the question mark directly. You can see it's telling me that clear, clock, configure, connect, and copy are all commands related to C. Now, the third aspect of question mark sign is that it helps us to complete the next syntax of commands, especially if we are stuck and we don't know the next command to enter. For example, I want to set my clock. I know it begins with clock, but I don't know the next syntax. For example, I'll now give a space after typing the one I know and enter a question mark. Now, as you can see, it's telling me that the next syntax is set, which sets the time and date. Okay. Now, when I type set, give a space and enter question mark, it's telling me that I need to enter the time in this format, hour, minute, and seconds. Let's set it to 10 o'clock. Okay. Now, before we complete this command, I'll tell you another relevance of the Cisco iOS feature. If I hit my enter key when a command is yet to be completed, it will tell me that the command is not complete. For example, you can see incomplete command. So all I need to do is to complete the command. Okay. Now I'll use my question mark to know the next syntax of command. I need to enter day and month. Okay. So what day? Let's set it to 1st January. Question mark. It's telling me that I need to enter year. Let's set it to 2020. Question mark. You can see it's telling me CR. CR means that's the end of the command syntax. Carriage return. I'll now hit my enter key. The router has picked that command. That's how we use the question mark. Okay. Now, another very important feature is that the router can tell you if you've messed a particular command up. For example, if I omitted or forgot to put E here and just said clock ST and then date and time and now hit my enter key, you can see it's telling me the exact point I blew it off using a caret sign. Very important. Good. Now, we need to understand how to use the arrow key as well. We have the up arrow key and the down arrow key. What this does, the up arrow key or Control N keyboard function, Control P rather, sorry, helps us to recall previously entered command. This can come in handy if we want to enter a command we've entered previously, and rather than typing it all along from the beginning, we can use the up arrow key, select the command and edit as we so desire. Okay. Now the down arrow key is the opposite of the up arrow key, just like what I'm doing now, up and down arrow key. In other words, the down arrow key or Control N recalls previously entered commands from back to front. One recalls from back to front, the other one from front to back. Take note. Then if we want to know the commands that we've previously entered, we want to see them, show history does that. All the commands are contained in a memory location. So the show history displays that. These are all the commands that we've entered previously on the router. Okay. Now this history has a buffer size of 10. What that means is that it can accommodate 10 commands by default. If you enter the 11th command, for example, older commands will be wiped off. Okay. How do we see the buffer size? Show terminal. Now take note, the show commands are entered from the privilege mode. Take notes. Subsequently, you understand this. Now you can see the history is enabled. The history size is 10. Okay. We can increase this buffer size. Now, if I want to increase this buffer size, all I need to do is to enter the command terminal history size. Then I'll use my question mark to see the range. You can see I have a range from 0 to 256, and I'll enter 20 in this case. Let's verify. Hope you can remember the command used to verify. Show what? Terminal. can see I've changed the buffer size to 20. Okay, now we need to go and configure some administrative features of this router. Now before we proceed, kindly hit the notification bell you're seeing there to subscribe for my YouTube videos so that you'll be updated on subsequent videos I post. All right. Okay, let's continue. Now, as you can see, my router is having a name router. Now, this can be very confusing, especially in the production environment where we have so many routers. It's very ambiguous. It might lead to a very serious issue when it comes to troubleshooting, because you might not be able to distinguish which router belongs to what department and what router is doing what. Okay, so it's advisable to give our routers unique names. Okay, so I want to call this router room. How do I do that? I go to a mode called global configuration mode by typing configure terminal. Thank you. This is another very important mode. In fact, if not the most important on the router. It allows us to enter commands that affect the router globally. Configure terminal from the privilege mode takes us to the global configuration mode. As you can see, the prompt has changed. So the command is host name, then the name. In this case, I want to name my router room. Enter. You can see the name has changed to room. Okay. Next, banners. Now, banners allow us to provide notification to the router, to anyone entering or trying to log into our router. As you can see, we just logged into this router without being notified. This might mean someone might just cross the boundaries, log into your router and you don't have the right to tell him anything because originally he wasn't notified. But you can bring up legal charges against him if you enter notification and he crosses that boundary. Okay, there are so many banners, but the most important is the message of the day banner, abbreviated as MOTD. Now, how do we configure this? From the global configuration mode, you enter banner MOTD, you give a space and use a delimiting character. The delimiting character can be any character that won't be used in the body of the message. And so to be on the safer part, there are some special characters that we'll hardly use as body of a message, like the hash, $sign, %sign, asterisk. Let's go with hash. Okay, you give a space and then enter your message. The message I want in this case is unauthorized. Users. Keep off. Then a space and enter the same delimiting character once again and hit my enter key. It has picked it. So let's verify by logging out of the router. Now, if you are logging out of the router, exit will take you a mode backwards. Okay, from here, exit takes me to where? Privileged exec mode. Typing exit again will take me to user exec mode. There we go. Unauthorized users. Keep off. Next is passwords. Now, passwords, Cisco router provides hierarchical passwords. In other words, we can enter passwords to secure the user exec mode as well as passwords to secure the privileged mode when someone types enable to access the privileged mode. Now, as you can see, we logged into this router without being prompted for a password. To secure the router, we need to password it. Now, we can log into the router via three ways to access the user exec mode: through console, telnet, and then through auxiliary. Now, the console is what we are using now. We need to secure it. Telnet, we enter password for the telnet, but we'll test it later in my other class because we need to configure more than one routers before we can test the telnet. Okay, because telnet allows remote login. I could be on my router in Rome and decide to logically or virtually access our branch office in London. Okay, I will use telnet. So we'll see how that goes by the next class. Okay, now then the auxiliary is the third way, but this auxiliary is now obsolete, so we won't be talking about it again. Okay, so we are left with console and telnet to access the user exec mode. Let's see how we can secure the console. Now you first of all go to the global configuration mode. That will now give us the platform to go to the console. Line console is what we call the mode. So line console. Now you need to know the number of lines that are available, okay, in this mode. Okay, our question mark will come in handy there again. So when I enter the question mark, you can see I have 0 to 0, just one line. So I'll say line console 0, enter, then login. Okay, password first. I'll enter the password I want. In this case, we want to enter Cisco as the line console password. Then I'll type login so that anyone that is about to log in will be prompted for that password, to enter that password. Then I'll type exit. I'm done with that. Like I said, even though we are not using it, let's secure the telnet. Now the telnet is called VTY, Virtual Terminal Utility. Line VTY, in this case, we don't know the number of lines. Now it depends on the model, the version of Cisco iOS. Some can accommodate 6 lines, some 16, some 198. In order to confirm the number of lines that these version can accommodate, we'll need a question mark. Okay, so in this case, what I'll do, I'll use my question mark to determine. As you can see, the lines are from 0 to 15. So I'll type 0 space 15, not 0-15. Okay, I'll hit my enter key. Now the password I intend to give my line VTY is CCNP. Now you must select all the lines because that determines the number of users that can access the router simultaneously via the telnet. 16 in this case. So you secure all of them. Password CCNP. Then login. Then I'll type exit. Now I'm done. Let's test it. We log out of the router once again. Now I can type exit to take me a step backwards, or I can type end. End takes me directly to the privileged mode. Likewise, I can type log out from the privileged mode to log out of the router, or exit. You know, just showing you 2 different ways of doing the same thing. Enter. Okay, so you can see I'm now prompted for the password. Now the password I need to enter here is the console password, not telnet. We are not connecting via telnet. And the console password, like we say here, is Cisco. You must always remember your password. If you forget your password, someone in your organization might get fired. Just saying. Okay, except you know how to break or crack passwords on Cisco routers, which I'll show you in a video, in my other video. Okay, now so the password I need to enter here is Cisco. I'll type Cisco. Now you can see I'm typing the password, but it's not being displayed. Yeah, the Cisco iOS by design, for security reasons, is designed in such a way not to display the password being typed. Just keep on typing and hit your enter. Can see I'm on the router. Next, we need to secure our enable mode, because if I type enable, I'm going directly to the privileged mode, but I need to secure it so that another password will be prompted for, so that before one can access the privileged exec mode. Now, how do we configure that? You go to the global configuration mode once again. You can see most commands are entered there. 2 types of password can be used. We have the enable password and the enable secret. Now the difference is that enable password provides the password in clear text and enable secret provides the password in an encrypted format. The most secured is the enable secret. So it's recommended if you have to select one, you use the enable secret. But if you enter two of them, like what I'm just about to do now, because I want to show you, then the enable secret takes precedence. How do we configure the enable password? Type enable password, then the password of your choice. In this case, let's go with ccna. Okay. How do we configure the enable secret? Enable secret, then the password of our choice. In this case, class. Enter. Let's go and verify. I'll type end and log out of the router once again. Okay, I'm prompted for the password. This first password is the console password, which is Cisco. Recall that. I'll type enable and I'll be prompted for a second password. Now this second password can be the enable password or the enable secret. Now let's try something. I'll try entering the enable password and see whether it will give me access to the router. ccna. You can see I'm still logged out of the router. Class, which is the enable secret. I'm now logged into the router. So the enable secret takes precedence over the enable password. Now let me show you something. Try to verify the password using show or show running config. Now this command verifies all commands we've entered on this router that are running on the RAM, yet to be saved in a more permanent memory space called NVRAM. So show running config will display all the commands. You can see I've entered host name room. You can see the enable secret encrypted, enable password unencrypted in clear text. Someone can stay behind me and just view this password and gain access to my router on some other time, on a later date. Okay, now you can see the VTY password CCNP as well as the console password Cisco. Okay, now this show running config, all these commands are running on the RAM. So if there's a power failure or the router is rebooted, all this will be lost. I'll show you how to save. That's the last thing we'll do before we round up this class. Okay, now besides, there's a command that you can enter that can encrypt all unencrypted passwords on a router. Just a single command syntax. Okay, so even though we've configured clear text passwords, we can enter this command to encrypt all of them. That command is entered from the global configuration mode once again, and it's service password encryption. Service password dash encryption. Take note, failure to remember this dash or hyphen can get you stuck up and you waste time, especially in an exam scenario, without doing anything. So take note, and I'll hit my enter key. Now I'll go and verify using the show running config. Show running config. What do we have? All the passwords that were previously unencrypted. Enable password, line VTY passwords, console passwords, they are all encrypted now. Nice feature. Take note. Okay, now finally let's save our configuration. Like I said, we need to save all this in a more permanent memory location called NV, non-volatile RAM. Okay, so we can do that either by typing write and hit our enter key, or copy running config, startup config. We are copying the contents of the running config to a file called startup config stored in the NVRAM. That's the implication. We hit our enter key. It's asking me destination file name. Do I want it as startup config? If yes, I'll hit it enter. I'll hit the enter key rather. Okay, now we are done. Hope you had a splendid time, a wonderful time, and you enjoyed this video, right? Well, kindly click the subscribe button or the notification bell so you'll be updated on my subsequent videos. Also, If you need further intensive training, virtually or physically, send me a message via the email provided. Thanks and good luck as you embark upon this journey of hidden treasures of knowledge. Arrivederci.